Hey guys, how are you all today? Doing a brand new video. This one is actually going to be a video of my top 10 favourite films of all time. I was originally planning to do a video to show off my top 10 favourite films of last year, 2017, but considering we're in June, probably a bit late to the party with that one, but I thought I'd do my top 10 favourite films of all time anyway. 4 of the 10 were actually released in theaters last year in 2017, which is awesome. 2017 is probably one of the best years in a long time for films, in my opinion. Obviously, not everyone's going to agree with my choices for top 10s and stuff, or favourite films, or films I enjoy. I sort of have one of those things where I really love films that not many people do. I mean, there's a few that I agree on with people where it's like, that's really, really short, that's really, really good. But most of the time, I always have like an opposite opinion to people. So I've always had like a lot of criticism on my old YouTube channel where I was like, how can you like this, or how do you not like this? And I always have to like explain like, well, that's my opinion, I like this, don't like this sort of stuff. But yeah, I'll get straight into this, guys. Coming in at number 10 is Super 8, which was a film released in 2011. One of the sort of slower years for films being released, especially like 2010, 2011 were like two of the worst years for cinema, in my opinion. There were only like 2 memorable films from 2011, which was Super 8 and Inception. But Super 8 is like one of my favourite films of all time and stars Joel Corney as the leading kid in this. And I can't remember the dad's name. I know it's like Chandler something. For some reason I've got Chandler Rigg stuck in my head, but that's from Walking Dead. But yeah, it's also got Elle Fanning in this, which Joel Corney and Elle Fanning did an amazing job in this. And it is directed by J.J. Abrams and produced by Steven Spielberg. If you haven't seen this movie, I highly, highly recommend it. Basically, the plot is about a group of young kids who are trying to make a movie, and they go out to this sort of abandoned train station. Well, it's not abandoned, but it's not like for public use, it's like a privately owned station. And they're trying to film this scene, and the train goes past, gets derailed, and something manages to come out of the train and haunt the town. So it was one of my favourite films from that year, and for quite a while it was one of the only films that had come out that was actually any decent. But anyway, moving on, coming in at number 9 is Love, Simon, the latest LGBT movie done by 20th Century Fox. That was actually a movie released this year in 2018, only back at the end of March, I think it came out. I absolutely love this film. It stars Nick Robinson as the lead, as Simon, and also stars Catherine Langford, who was from, obviously, 13 Reasons Why. I always say a lot. I'm going to apologise. Like, that's just something I do, say a lot. So it's something it's not intentional. It's just force of habit. There we go again. Basically, the plot for that is it's based off a book. I can't remember who wrote the book, but it's basically about Simon, and it's a coming-of-age film about him trying to hide a secret that he's gay in high school. He doesn't want anyone to know, not even his best friends or his parents or his sister, nothing. He kind of wants to keep it to himself until he graduates, and then when he goes to like college, he'll be able to sort of just tell everyone and not feel like he's being judged. But when he's logged in on the computer at school, and he sort of leaves the computer, leaves it logged into his email, and he's been sort of messaging another boy, someone sees it and sort of spreads the emails and screws everything up. So that was one of my favourites, not only from this year, but in a very long time. Coming in at number 7 is one of the ones from last year, which was It. The new Andy Muschietti. I was going to say Steve Muschietti. Andy Muschietti. I don't think I'm pronouncing that last name right, but it's obviously based off the Stephen King book, and they obviously did the mini-series back in 1993, I think it was, or 1992. And it's just like a reimagining of it, and it's only like part 1, like the first half of the book, and they're doing the second half of the book in September of next year with obviously a new cast. I think they've already cast like Jessica Chastain and a few others in there, so that's going to be awesome. But I think they did a really, really good job with this one. All the kids are awesome in this. I know a lot of people had criticisms about the kids and that they weren't really portrayed all that well. A few of the people I know didn't really like the new It movie, and that's fine. I mean, I personally loved it, but obviously it's not everyone's cup of tea. But if you don't know the story of it, it is basically about a clown, or it's like an entity that lives down in the sewers, and sort of haunts kids and eats them and scares them with their biggest fears. So like Georgie sees a clown, so does his brother, and then you got Eddie who sees like a sort of like a zombie infection walking around, and then Stanley, who is one of the other kids, sees like a woman playing a flute, and stuff like that. So it's like it plays on all their fears and then kills and eats them, basically. Coming in at number 6 is Dunkirk. I actually saw this in IMAX. Only film I've actually seen in IMAX, and I went up and saw it last year for my birthday. It actually came out my birthday week. So I went up and saw that, which was absolutely excellent. It was like the best experience I've had in the cinema, was seeing that in IMAX and just seeing a screen going from like wall to wall, roof to floor, and it was just like the sound system was like awesome. And that's what I think made that experience, was even just the opening scene. You know, it opened, had the guys walking down the street, stuffing my face full of hot popcorn, and then bang, like got into the sound effects. I'm like frozen, like handing my popcorn like shit, like I'm scared. That really was like one of the scenes in that movie that like really scared me, was that opening scene. It was just like all of a sudden like they just kicked in and you didn't expect it. But coming in at number 5 is Orphan, which was a 2009 movie. And this actually had a really good cast. Like, I loved the cast in this. This was perfectly done with Vera Farmiga, Peter Sarsgaard, Isabel Fuhrman, and Jimmy Bennett. I remember seeing this in theatres. I was only, I think, 13 or 14. I think I was 13 at the time. And I had to obviously go with a gutting because it's MA over here in Australia, so I couldn't go and see it by myself. And instantly was one of my favourites. It wasn't too scary, wasn't too gory, but it was kind of like a thriller in a way, more than a horror. But obviously, it's still classed as a horror to most people. That one is basically about a girl who gets adopted, and is from Russia, but she's been obviously come over to America, and she's in an American orphanage. She gets adopted by this family, and turns out she's got a very big secret and likes to kill people. And that's not the secret. She's got a really dark secret as well, other than killing people. Coming in at number 5. Do I have 10 here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I think this is 5. Orphan was 6. Yeah. 5. I had to count. I'm like, oh no, I've lost track of where I am. Coming in at number 5 is Horrible Bosses. A lot of people don't like this movie. I don't know why. I think it's absolutely hilarious. I mean, you got Jennifer Aniston, Colin Farrell, Kevin Spacey. I know Kevin Spacey at the moment. And it's also got like Charlie Day, Jason Bateman, and Jason Sudeikis, who I'm not a big fan of most of the time. I'm not usually a big fan of Jason Sudeikis. Tends to stay away from his films, but in this one, he actually suited the role really well. Like, I absolutely loved this film. It was absolutely hilarious. Basically, the plot for this one was Jason Bateman, Jason Sudeikis, and Charlie Day. They've got really horrible bosses and kind of want to get rid of them, so they try and hire a hitman to kill off their bosses, but turns out that by doing certain things they can sort of kill each other. Well, not them, but the bosses can sort of kill each other or frame each other for certain things and get rid of their bosses. So I thought that was absolutely hilarious. If you haven't seen that one, I highly, highly recommend that one. Coming in at number 4 was another one from last year, which is Baby Driver. I could not love this film anymore. I remember seeing the trailer of this film when it first got released and went, I have to see that. Always loved Edgar Wright movies, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, The World's End, stuff like that. Pity what happened to it with Ant-Man, but either way, this film was absolutely incredible. I remember I won 2 free tickets to see an advanced screening of this film like 2 weeks before it was even released in cinemas. And I think I saw it another 2 times in cinemas when it actually officially got released. And I got like I think it was like $65 4K, but it was just like edition of it. It was so good. I absolutely loved it. Basically, the plot for this one is you've got Kevin Spacey as this mobster boss, and he always gets new crews to go out and do robberies. He never uses the same crew, except for this one driver who they call Baby through the whole film. That's not his real name, but that's what they call him. He's the only guy he uses on every job, and it's sort of like a good luck charm to him, and everything ends up going a bit south halfway through the film. Coming in at number 3 is quite an older film. All these are sort of like 2010 and onwards. This one is a 1978 film, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This is the best horror film ever. Nothing in the future will ever top The Texas Chainsaw Massacre as horror. I know a lot of people say The Nightmare on Elm Street is the classic that you go to. A lot of people say Halloween is the classic that started it all. Well, you know, but for me, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre is the thing that started horror, in my opinion. And a lot of people are going to disagree on that. Horror fans are quite sort of direct and straightforward of their favourite franchise, and it's like, you know, but I can understand where they're coming from, because I obviously think Texas Chainsaw Massacre is the original sort of cult classic horror that you must watch. And it's got so many classic scenes and shots in here, which people, even if you haven't seen the film, you go, that's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like, you'll see it. One of the most classic scenes in this is him dancing at the end with the chainsaw. Well, not so much dancing, but it's called him, you know, director sort of named it the dancing scene with Leatherface. Right at the end, just as Sully manages to get in the back of the truck, he's swinging his chainsaw around. I'll see if I can put the clip up over this. Absolutely incredible. If you don't, for some reason, know what the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is about, basically is a group of young teens. They're driving across Texas to get to California, and they end up stopping at one of the girls', I think it was grandparents' house, and turns out Leatherface lives next door, and they go for help, and goes a bit south. Coming in at number 2 was a film also released last year in Australia, but it was released at the end of 2016 in the US, but it was released in Australia in February 2017, and the poster is right there. It is A Cure for Wellness. A lot of people didn't like this. I don't know why. This film was so good. Like, never really been a big fan of Gore Verbinski's work, who did the Pirates of the Caribbean and Rango and stuff like that. Worked with Johnny Depp a lot. But this film was so bizarre, so out there. The ending was just really weird that I just fell in love with it. I remember seeing this at the cinema with my mum. It was only out in Australia for a week, and only like limited cinemas had it. And I managed to see it on like the last day because it was only out for like a week. My mum didn't like it. I can understand that, but I thought this was amazing. And the story for the plot for this film is about a young man who works for this firm, and his boss has gone away to a sort of holiday retreat in Switzerland, and the sort of next boss up has asked this guy to go over to Switzerland and bring him back because there's a lot of legal stuff happening, and they need his signature on stuff to sort of, you know, cover some stuff up for, I don't know if it was like tax reasons or whatever. So he goes over to Switzerland, goes to this retreat that he's supposedly meant to be at, and it's not really the retreat you would expect to go to. Let's just say that. I don't want to spoil too much. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you go and watch this. If you haven't watched it, this does star Dane DeHaan, who is one of my favourite actors of all time. I think he is just an amazing actor in a lot of the stuff he does. I know a lot of people don't like him in The Amazing Spider-Man just because they don't like The Amazing Spider-Man in general, but I think he's a really good actor, and I've loved him pretty much everything he's done. But coming in at number 1, this is actually like, I've put 3 films into like one because I can never just watch one of them by themselves. I always have to watch all 3 together. And I can only watch the extendeds of these movies, and that is the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I can't just watch one. If I watch one, I watch all 3 of the extended movies. So I classify these as like one movie. When people go, they're 3, I go, nope, they're just one really long movie. It's like a 7-8 hour movie. Absolutely love Lord of the Rings still. I've got like every edition of it on DVD and Blu-ray. I'm just waiting for the day they bring it out in 4K, because that would be like, I'll like go crazy. I remember when I was little, I used to collect all the figurines, which I still have in boxes. But yeah, it's just like, it's mind-blowing like how much effort went into those movies, and I remember watching it for the first time just after I turned 8 years old, and it's been my favorite movie franchise ever since. A lot of people are very similar with like things like Harry Potter or a lot of those other big ones. For me, Lord of the Rings, nothing will ever beat that. I remember when they did the Hobbit movies. I didn't like the Hobbits. The Hobbit is my favorite book of all time, and they butchered that book to death using they used too much CG in that compared to the Lord of the Rings, which is very much practical, very little CG. The Hobbit just overdid it with CG. It was, rather than having 200 people stand out in a field with the archers, they had like 2 or 3 guys there, and they just computer generated the rest of them, which I thought was very, very lazy, considering how much work went into the Lord of the Rings trilogy. So that's one of the reasons I love it so much, is because of how much work went into it and stuff. I actually, a few years ago, went over and visited the Hobbit sets and stuff. It's got like a bunch of photos and stuff. I'll see if I can insert some in here. But that is my top 10 favourite films of all time. Just to spin them off again: Super 8, Love, Simon, It, Dunkirk, Orphan, Horrible Bosses, Baby Driver, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, A Cure for Wellness, and The Lord of the Rings. Those are my top 10 favourite films of all time. I know I didn't really go into much or any detail why they're my favourite films, but I sort of gave like a synopsis instead of like why they're my favourite films, so I just realised that. But yeah, they're my top 10 at the moment. Obviously, it changes every once in a while when something new comes in. I sort of like eliminate something, like last year when Dunkirk, It, Baby Driver, and A Cure for Wellness got put in there. That like eliminated 4 things from my top 10 favourite films of all time. But yeah, that's my top 10. I'm sorry I keep looking over there. It's I got my list there of my top 10, so I didn't have to keep stopping. But anyway, that is the top 10 video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to leave a comment down below. What are your favourite top 10 films of all time? I'd actually love to know what your favourite films are of all time. Let me know what you guys think of my top 10, which ones you like, which ones you don't like. Let me know why you do or don't like them, stuff like that. But also hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you can get notifications when I upload every Tuesday and Thursday. And yeah, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channels in the description. I'll leave some links down below for some of my favourite YouTubers at the moment. Definitely go down and subscribe to them as well. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you on Tuesday.